Welcome back. So far, we've learned how to create the light ring. Now it's time to hang it from the ceiling. Today, we'll start by adding a single cable. To begin, open the sidebar by clicking the small arrow to the right of the rotation gizmo, or simply press the In key. In the sidebar, go to the View tab and make sure that all the location and rotation values of the 3D cursor are set to 0. If they aren't, set them to 0 manually. Next, go to the Add menu, choose Mesh, and then select Cylinder. The new object will be placed at the origin point where the three axes meet. This time, we'll ignore the cylinder panel in the bottom left corner. In the sidebar, open the Item tab and set the dimensions for the ceiling canopy. In this example, it's a cylinder with a diameter of 18 centimeters and a height of 4 centimeters. Finally, set its Z location to 50 centimeters. To avoid confusion with the random object names in the outliner, rename this object to Ceiling Canopy. Next, hold down the Shift key and select the light ring as well. Press the Del key on the numpad to center the view on both selected objects. Before creating the first cable, right-click on the collection in the outliner, and from the menu, choose New. Double-click on the new collection and rename it to Cable. With the new collection selected, go to the Add menu, then choose Mesh and finally Cylinder to create the cable. Set the cable's dimensions to a diameter of 5 mm and a height of 10 cm in the Item tab. On the outline, double-click the object and rename it to Cable. Next, open the Add menu, choose Empty, and select Plane Axis. Scale it down to 0.01. Now, activate Snap Controls, set the snap type to face, and in the Snap Alignment options, choose the top center so objects snap to the center of the target faces. With the new Empty selected, hover your mouse over the top face of the cable, press G, then Z to move it only along the Z axis. The Empty is now perfectly positioned on top of the cable. Finally, rename this Empty to Top. With the top Empty selected, right-click on it and choose Duplicate Objects to create a new Empty. Press Escape to cancel the movement. Rename the new Empty to Bottom. Then, pan and rotate the view so you can see the bottom face of the cable. Move your cursor to point at the bottom face, then press G, followed by Z, to move the Empty along the Z axis. Carefully position it at the center of the cable's bottom face. First, select the top Empty, then hold down the Shift key and select the cable. Next, go to the Properties panel, open the Modifiers tab, and you'll see the results of the following actions. Now, switch to Edit mode and make sure the selection mode is set to face. Select the top face of the cable. Press Ctrl and H to open the pop-up menu, and choose Hook to selected object. As you can see, a hook modifier has now been added to the top face of the cable in the Modifier panel. This means the top face of the cable is now hooked to the top Empty. Switch back to Object mode. If you move the top Empty, you'll notice that the cable follows it. Finally, repeat the same process to hook the bottom face of the cable to the bottom empty. By hooking the top and bottom faces of the cable to separate empties, you assign those points of the mesh to follow the movement of the corresponding empties. This setup allows you to easily animate or position the cable by simply moving the empties, rather than manually deforming the mesh. It's an efficient and non-destructive way to control flexible objects like cables, ropes, or hoses while maintaining smooth and realistic deformations. Then, in object mode, select the top empty. Rotate and pan the view so you can clearly see the ceiling part of the chandelier. With the snap tool enabled, hover over the ceiling area, press G to move, and then press C to constrain the movement to the Z-axis. Now, the top end of the cable is correctly attached to the ceiling canopy. Next, select the bottom empty. In the Item tab, set the Z position to 0. To align it with the ring, start by adjusting the X position. Set it roughly to the radius of the ring to get it close to the right spot. Then, pan and rotate the view to see the top surface of the light ring. Point to the top of the ring and press G again to move it. The cable sits exactly on top of the ring surface. Next, recenter the view on the selected objects. Now, let's select the light ring and rotate it by pressing R, then Y to constrain the rotation to the Y-axis. Unfortunately, the cable doesn't follow the ring's rotation, so we press Escape to cancel the rotation. To fix this, we select the bottom empty, then while holding Shift select the light ring. Press Ctrl and P, and from the pop-up menu choose Object Keep Transform. Now, when we rotate the light ring again by pressing R and then Y, to limit it to the Y-axis, we can see that the cables correctly follow the rotation. Let's focus on the bottom empty. When we rotate the light ring, we can see that the bottom empty rotates as well. This causes the cable to stretch and appear thinner. To fix that, we need the bottom empty to follow the ring's position without rotating. Select the bottom empty, and in the Properties panel, go to the Constraints tab, that's the little gear icon. From the Add Object Constraint list, choose Limit Rotation. Then, check Limit X, Y, and Z, leaving both the minimum and maximum values at 0. Now, when you rotate the light ring, the bottom empty follows it correctly, without rotating and without stretching the cable. Next time, I'll show you how to add more cables to the light ring so they're evenly spaced. Make sure to subscribe and don't miss it. Thanks for watching.